The enemy is not outside of yourself. It's very common when we have a problem, a challenge, difficulty, pain, grief. It's much easier to project and think somebody or something else is responsible for what's going on in your life. But as the story goes, there was an old wise man, and there was a man who was complaining to him about several people who he felt were responsible for difficulty in his life. The old wise man listened to him very calmly, and at the end of his rant, said to him, all right, if these different people were responsible for your problems, then have you noticed that you are the only one who was there in each of these situations? That was a huge aha moment for that man, and it changed his life completely. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because if you're fighting an enemy and you don't know who the enemy is or where the enemy is, then you are going to lose the battle. So, any single thing that you want in this life and you don't have yet is because you are not yet a match for that thing. You may have blocks. You may have saboteurs. These saboteurs are universal. Everyone has saboteurs. They're ways of being that we've learned as children. And as children, they protected us. As adults, however, they're like shoes that no longer fit and are certainly not serving you. And so to really understand your saboteurs, to truly be able to see them, accept them, and shift them, it's important you come to the table with an attitude that I am not my saboteur. I have learned a saboteur. I have perfected a saboteur. And because of this sabotaging way of being, way of thinking, way of acting, I am not yet the person who has my goal. Do you realize the power that is when you own your flaws, when you own your saboteurs? Because right there at that moment, you can do something about it. If you keep pointing fingers at everyone else, the economy, that man, that woman, the teacher, the husband, the wife, the brother, the children, your boss, if all of these people are responsible for how terrible your life is, then each of those people has to come to the table, one, choose to change, two, succeed in changing, three, for your life to be better. Forget about it. Therefore, the understanding that every single block is within yourself, and once those blocks are seen, one, accepted, two, and shifted, three, then your external life will become a reflection of the fact that those blocks no longer exist. Instead of going through life looking for triggers and people who are going to upset you and people who've done this to you and just basically coming up with victim energy, you go through life seeing every single thing as one, a gift, two, an opportunity. And when you start doing that, your life is a series of glimmers, beautiful, magical, miraculous moments, as opposed to triggers. Even when there is pain, even when there is challenge, even when things do not go your way, you have primed your brain to see and seize the opportunity. You've primed your brain to always see how life is happening for you. This is a distinction between highly successful people and the rest. Because can you imagine really going through life with that understanding that life is happening for you? You're no longer going to be afraid of failure because no matter what happens, it's all good. You will learn, you will grow. It's a redirection, not a rejection. You're not going to be going into conversations thinking the person's going to say no. You're not going to be hesitant about picking up the phone thinking no one's going to listen to me. You're not going to be worried about launching masterclasses thinking no one's going to come. You're not going to be worried about, oh, what if I don't know what to say? Or what if I forget? I was once in Dubai and I had, with a business partner, decided to do a retreat. And I was really good at all the organization, all the business aspect, etc. However, I had a limiting belief that I would not be able to coach a group. I already knew that I was a really good coach when it came to one-on-one, but when it came to group coaching, I hadn't done it before. And my controller saboteur was, ooh, how am I going to manage all of that? I remember the night before, I actually said a prayer, and the prayer was that may my inadequacies not come between anyone and their breakthroughs. And I left it at that. The next morning, I found myself walking in the room, greeting people with ease, and presenting the parts I was meant to present as if I had been born doing that. And just so you know, it wasn't just my opinion. Several people said how wonderful it was and how great. And they said, okay, so, you know, how long have you been doing this? I'm like, this is our first one. And one of the ladies, her jaw dropped and said, I thought you'd been doing this forever and ever. So what was between me and becoming who I am? A limiting belief, a sabotaging thought, judgment, perfectionism. What will people think? The fact is, I had the ability to show up powerfully and hold space. If I'd listened to the saboteurs, if I'd listened to the fear, if I'd listened to the enemy within, then so many women would not have received and experienced the powerful breakthroughs that they did because I stepped into faith. Any sabotaging thought is an enemy. Any sabotaging thought is coming from fear. And the absence of fear is something you really want to tune into. Owning that, yes, I may feel afraid, and what are you going to do about it? Because it is the way you are thinking that's leading to the fear. If you know that there's an opportunity, you may not have all the details, but you move forward and trust, knowing that at each point in time, the resource, the teacher, the blessing will come to your aid once you go. If you know that no matter what happens, whether this time it's a success or not, every single experience is a blessing, is a gift, is a learning opportunity. Wouldn't you hurry to learn it really quickly? And if you really understand that it's not really about you, one big thing about the enemy within is it's all about you. What people think, I'm going to look stupid, I'm going to look like a failure. But when you are so focused on other people's breakthroughs and you're so focused on other people's growth, and you're so focused on other people's value, you forget about yourself. You're no longer walking in fear, you're walking in love. If you are sick and tired of having big ideas and finding yourself in avoidance or procrastination, finding yourself worried about what if you're a failure and therefore not really going big, if you're sick and tired of seeing your ideas years later, somebody else doing them and not even as well as you had imagined, if they had the boldness to show up and to do it, if you're sick and tired of wrecking relationships because you're so scared of vulnerability and connection, or you just find that you have to be right in every single discussion, turning it into an argument, you know who I'm talking about. Right now, say, okay, these aspects of my life are aspects I am tolerating, not celebrating. They are not who I am. They're ways of being that I have developed. And they are getting in the way of my beautiful, bold, amazing destiny. If you want to shift that destiny, then you've got to shift your identity. And to shift your identity, you've got to rewire your brain. You've got to make a choice to rewire the brain, the way your brain works. Because right now, you're either using your brain as an enemy or you're using it as your best friend. And your life will be a reflection of that. So if you'd love to know what the enemy within is, what the saboteurs that you have are, then I want you to take a 2-minute quiz to find out what your saboteurs are. Send me your results via email, links below. And then let's hop on a call. Because when you unpack the way in which each of the saboteurs is affecting your life, you then have a decision to make. Am I going to keep paying these prices? Or am I going to invest in ensuring that my dream becomes my reality because I am becoming that person who has what I want? It's very, very, very important for you to make that decision. And there's no right or wrong. It's simply up to you to decide, are you worthy of a life you truly celebrate? Love and light. I can't wait to hear what landed for you. Take care.